I think I'd be used to working out how to do this by now, wouldn't you? Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Molineux, or as Dean Smith calls it, the Molineux, which I guess him being a Brummie or a Villa fan is what you probably expect him to call it. There you go. I'll stop spinning around now. It's probably making you dizzy. Yes, here we are. Norwich have finished their away fixtures for the Premier League campaign with a 1-1 draw here at Wolves. Maybe it could have been more. Teemu Pukki had about 28 chances. No, that's a bit unfair, but he was certainly put through or ran in behind numerous times. He did have some very good chances in the first half. I thought there was one which he pushed past the far post, which was probably a missed opportunity because he had to hit the target. There's another one where he did really well to sort of drive a low shot, aiming for between John Ruddy's legs. John Ruddy getting his end of season game, as has been the case, I think, the last couple of years. Doesn't necessarily mean he's leaving Wolves this year, but maybe this will be the year where he does. But I thought that was a really good save, actually, by John Ruddy, that one. And then he did get his goal on 37 minutes, I think it was, late in the first half. Teemu Pukki cutting inside from actually the right channel. Most of his runs came from the left, and he was having to cut back on his right. This time he was in on his left, cut inside, and then a low left-footed shot that got a deflection and wrong-footed Ruddy and went in. And Norwich were leading at 1-0, and they have actually been pretty good this season when they've led, so that was grand. In the end, start of the second half, Wolves came out with some renewed intent, I thought. They were starting to move the ball a lot quicker. They made a couple of they made certainly a change at half-time at that point. The officials were getting a bit ragged in terms of, I don't think they're particularly experienced at Premier League level, which I thought was showing. So it was nice. Obviously, the Premier League want to give officials a taste of the Premier League if they're thinking about promoting them or whatever. So that seemed to be the case with Tony Harrington and his guys. So that happened. And I thought the free kick that led to the goal was probably a bit harsh, but in the end, they did get their goal. You know what? I've come completely blank over who scored. It was Aït-Nouri, I think. It was a bit of not a great goal. It was a bit of a scramble, and maybe there could have been a foul in the box. I don't think anyone would have grumbled if it had been given. But as I said, the referee was kind of in his mood where he wasn't going to be giving stuff like that. And then the header went past Angus Gunn, who produced a brilliant save later on, by the way, to keep it at 1-1. And Angus did really well. I thought his distribution was erratic at times, and he'd probably agree with that. Maybe he was being asked. He was being asked to go quite long a lot of the time, I thought. There wasn't much building up from the back today, which is maybe understandable. But Angus did well in goal, and you would say on performances deserves to keep his place as well, which might make it interesting for the final home game next weekend on Sunday at home to Tottenham, whether Angus keeps the job or Tim Krul gets the last game of the season, which would be interesting, as would the reasons for it be. And yeah, so Norwich come away with a point. They have 22 for the season. They have one more than they had 2 years ago. In a season of desperation, that is what you would call a thin silver lining under the cloud. Some will claim it represents progress, of course. Not me, but it is a point more. They could still potentially finish above Watford, who got absolutely smashed 5-1, I think, at home by Leicester today, if that's how it finished. So, maybe, it would be nice if Norwich didn't finish bottom, let's be honest. Also, we could definitely say that Norwich have not been the worst team in the league this season, which I think would be quite a statement, given everything that's happened. I am, of course, again, talking about these thin slithers of silver linings, and, Norwich are home to Spurs, who I'm guessing will still have something to play for at that point, unless it all blows up, which I guess it could, but I don't know. Maybe not. I haven't really checked the table at that point. But either way, it would be nice to see Norwich not finish bottom of the season, but I don't think I trust anything in terms of it or anything I've witnessed this year to think that is a possibility. So we will see. This game, you can look at it and you can see that there were positives in how Norwich were approaching it. You can look forward to things that it maybe means for next season. And you can do that. Even my colleague Tim Spears, who covers Wolves and is just a brilliantly lovely, wonderful man, was like, Norwich played well. They were good without the ball. They didn't allow Wolves to play. And, that is probably true on today, and obviously the players are trying to play for that. But there is minimal. I do honestly feel there is minimal that you can take from this in terms of projecting it forward to next year. There will be changes in personnel. There will be pre-season. It's a different set of fixtures. There's a different standard. Everything will be different. The expectation will be different. It's just so, Dean Smith played 3 at the back today because Norwich had been giving away too many big chances and felt that they had to be solid. And I'd make a better fist of that. I mean, that's just going to be 0 away from any kind of thinking once we get into the Championship, certainly at the start of it, unless it all unravels. So I do really struggle with the concept of looking at that and thinking, well, look at these things going forwards. It's hard. Wolves didn't have much to play for. They were getting booed at times and things like that. So the home fans weren't enamoured with their efforts against Norwich at times. But I think everyone took it for what it was, which was an end of season game where both teams were kind of hoping to patch something together that was positive on the other side of it. And probably they both managed that. Norwich certainly did. And the away fans who were just over in that corner there, just at the top tier, they got some thanks from their players at the end, which is good to see. It was an interesting starting formation, and it did. I mean, people were sort of questioning what it was actually going to be, but it definitely was a 5-3-2 essentially, with Max Aarons and Jan Ulis as the wing backs. Thought Dimmy probably had the better game of those two, but they did okay. Sam Byram again continues to look like a really important member of this team. Ben Gibson and Grant Hanley especially did well as well. Matthias Norman came in out of the blue. It was interesting that Dean Smith described it as Matthias put himself forward for training on Saturday, which would of course been after Colney, where Dean Smith wasn't expecting any new players to be available. Matthias had a couple of knocks and what have you, but he ran it out and did some things okay. But again, if he struggled today, I'm not sure we'll see him at Carrow Road next weekend. Pierre Lesmelou, I thought did okay. Billy Gilmore has an ankle injury as well, which would probably explain, I don't think even for his difficult season, I don't think he was anywhere near a level he'd want to be at today. And I would imagine that the injury has impacted him there, especially in the second half when he was clearly struggling after half time, I would say. And then, Kieran Dowell and Teemu Pukki, we've seen enough evidence of those two to suggest that they can play as a partnership. Kieran can look for Teemu and did a couple of times today, and Teemu's running is brilliant. I mean, for all the chances he had, there was so often when it was like him versus 5 defenders. Like, the guy has scored 11 goals in 2 Premier League campaigns where Norwich have been abysmal, really, in attacking senses for most of them. He's now equalled Grant Holt's scoring record, which surprised me that he was at that point, really, just probably because I'd forgotten. And I just think he's a marvel in terms of so many Norwich City players that I've seen play. I love him. I think he's brilliant. And I think he will be one of the players who just sums up this whole era of the football club. And I do desperately hope he will still be here next season. I don't think he can quite contemplate that yet because he just wants to go on holiday. I do still worry that maybe there'll be some things that come forward that mean that it doesn't happen, because he signed a contract for another 12 months doesn't guarantee it. Who knows what the options are going to be and what he fancies. Again, Wolves might look at it and think, we could do with someone like that. I just don't know where Norwich's financial resolve will be at compared to what they might get as an offer. But I do desperately hope he stays because he will score a hatful of goals in the Championship again, and regardless of who else plays in the team, to be honest. And you'd rather have him than not. So that's the 11. John Rowe came on and looked lively. I thought Jakob Sorensen came on when Matthias Norman was injured, and I thought he was outstanding, if I'm honest. I thought he patrolled the right spaces, thought he used the ball so calmly when he had it. Exactly where he was looking at when just before he got injured, and he played against Watford and was it Everton before that? He has to start, I think, against Spurs. Let's see how he does in that game. I think he might have started at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in December. And did okay, but I think Jakob has been short of opportunities, but has grown. So yeah, I'd like to see him start and us to get a proper gauge of him. That would be great. Obviously, a few players didn't even get to play today who were probably hoping for. We didn't see them. And Lucas Rupp came on as well and did okay. Good energy from him. And yeah, that's it really in terms of the team. Yeah, you always get a bit of criticism maybe from a formation that leaves people sort of trying to work out what it is. But I always try and keep an open mind. I did find it amusing that Dean Smith had resorted to a 5-3-2 where, say under Daniel Farke, that was a sign that things had properly unravelled and that it was let's just tuck in and hope for the best. But I actually thought Norwich played the formation a lot better today. It was kind of lopsided at times. Sam Byron was happy to come out wider as right back and allowing Max Aarons to push on. And they were probably better organised. I thought they looked better coached in that formation, and Pukki and Dow had a better relationship than, say, Josh Sargent and Pukki when Norwich played at Burnley and at home to Brighton. So just worked a bit better. And for this occasion, that's good. And it was this occasion. This occasion is now done. I don't know if there's much more we can take into it. We'll see what it looks like at Carrow Road against Tottenham next weekend. We'll have an On The Ball podcast for you tomorrow night. I've got a deadline to meet because it's a Sunday kickoff, so I'm going to crack on with that. But thanks for watching, as always. Sling in your comments and questions if you should so wish. I will read them all and try and reply to them if I can. And yeah, I think that's it from Norwich's away trips. It's been a long season on the road. Not as long as next season will be because there are more games and it's going to go over a much longer time frame. In some ways, we may have seen some of Norwich's best moments away from home, but that's mostly because there have been so few of them. It's been chastening in a lot of ways, and curious in that Norwich have almost always been short, but never really been miles off it. And I don't know what that means. I think sometimes that means that the opposition knew that they would win in the end. In some ways, maybe it means that they tried to do it better but couldn't. But yeah, it's done now, at least away from home. We have one more to go. And I'll see you at Carrow Road on Sunday. Let's have enough of that. In the meantime, have a great week. Look after yourselves. And remember, you'll probably miss it when it's the middle of June and there's no football. Maybe. See you later. Take care of yourselves.